Some betrayals don't leave scars. They leave echoes, quiet, constant reminders of what you thought you had and who you thought they were. In the beginning, I thought catching Jenna with another man would be the hardest part. But what broke me wasn't just the affair. It was realizing she'd sacrificed someone else's dignity, sanity, and career just to protect a lie. She didn't act out of passion. She acted out of fear and selfishness. And when the truth came out, the universe didn't look away. Jenna tried to stay quiet at first. She resigned before her company could fire her, hoping it would all blow over. But the clip of her voice, cold, laughing, conspiring, made its rounds online like wildfire. She became that woman from the recording, the one who ruined another woman's career just to cover her affair. She lost her job, then her reputation, then most of her friends. No one wants to be seen siding with someone who weaponized HR to destroy another human being. I later heard she moved in with her sister out of state, trying to rebuild in a small town where no one recognized her, but the internet doesn't forget. Her LinkedIn was flooded with comments. Her name, once tied to executive awards and leadership panels, now brought up in Reddit threads and anonymous exposés about corporate toxicity. She couldn't get rehired. No company wanted to inherit that PR nightmare. As for him, Mr. Consultant, his fall was quieter but steeper. Clients dropped him. A few board members publicly distanced themselves. He lost 3 long-term contracts within a month. And then his wife found out. Yes, turns out he wasn't divorced, just good at pretending. She filed for separation in the same week the audio went public. He now lives in a 1-bedroom apartment, struggling to book freelance work, constantly looking over his shoulder, wondering when the next headline will bury what's left of his career. As for Lauren, she moved to another city, got a better job, one that valued her. She even gave a TEDx talk about whistleblowing and surviving toxic workplaces. Her story was finally hers to tell. And people listened. Me? I live smaller now, quieter but freer. The silence doesn't sting anymore. It feels earned. I still think about Jenna sometimes, not with longing, but with disbelief. Because when you love someone, you never imagine they're capable of ruining another person's life, just to keep you in the dark. Here's what I've learned. Love without accountability is poison. Loyalty without honesty is manipulation. And silence in the face of evil makes you part of it. So let me ask you this. If the person you love destroyed someone else's life to keep your relationship alive, would you forgive them? Would you stay silent? Or would you walk away and finally let the truth speak for itself? Let me know in the comments. Because sometimes karma doesn't need help. It just needs time. The woman I shared a home with, a bed, a future. And here she was, smiling into the void, looking for someone new while I lay next to her every night thinking we were okay. I swiped right. It was instant, like fate, but twisted. A match that wasn't supposed to happen, but had to. I stared at the match screen for a long time. There she was, Jenna, smiling from the same carefully chosen photo she once used on Facebook. She had cropped me out, of course. Her bio read, "In a complicated place, let's keep things light." And just like that, our marriage became a vague inconvenience to her, a passing detail. I created the fake Tinder account a few days earlier using a stock photo of a man who looked like someone she'd find attractive. Mid-30s, rugged but approachable. I named him Brian, claimed he was new in town, just looking to meet people. It was generic, safe. And apparently just her type. I didn't message her right away. I needed time to breathe, to prepare. When I finally did, I kept it short. "Something about your smile stopped me mid-swipe." She responded within the hour. "That's a good line, but I'm not sure I'm even smiling in that pic." From there it moved quickly. She told Brian that she was married, but not really. We're in the middle of separating. He's a good guy, just not for me. It's basically over. We're just sorting out the legal stuff. Reading that line felt like being punched in the chest. She wasn't just flirting. She was rewriting our story, turning our real, messy, sometimes beautiful marriage into some dying thing she could shed like old skin. Turns out, I wasn't the first guy she matched while married. I stayed in character. I let her talk, let her feel safe, let her think Brian was buying every word. I stayed in character. I let her talk, let her feel safe, let her think Brian was buying every word. She said she missed feeling seen, desired, that she was tired of pretending to be happy. She said things that stung more than if she just admitted to cheating outright. I played along, and after 4 days, she asked if I wanted to meet in person. Just coffee, something casual. I feel like we already know each other. We set the date. Thursday, 6:30 p.m., a quiet cafe downtown, the kind of place we used to go to before everything changed. That whole day, I felt like I was floating, not alive, not dead, just stuck in this surreal nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I kept seeing her texts over and over in my head. He doesn't get me. I'm ready for a fresh start. I want to feel alive again. At 6:15, I arrived early. I picked a seat in the back with a full view of the door. I watched couples walk in, and I wondered how many of them were lying to each other, too. At 6:33, the door opened and Jenna walked in. She looked different, not like a stranger, but like a version of herself she used to be before the stress, before the distance. Her hair was curled. Her blouse, the one I once complimented her on, was pressed perfectly. She looked excited, nervous, until she saw me. Her expression collapsed. Hope drained from her eyes. Her whole body seemed to shrink as she slowly walked toward me, like a woman approaching her own execution. She sat down across from me, silent, shaking. I didn't say anything. I wanted her to speak first. I wanted to watch her squirm. Finally, she broke. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same," I said. "Didn't you have a date with someone new tonight?" She flinched. "This isn't what it looks like." "Then tell me what it is," I snapped, pulling out a manila envelope from my coat. I slid it across the table. "Everywhere you've sent, every lie you told, you don't even have to explain. Just read it." She didn't touch it. "You wanted to feel something. Congratulations. Now you get to feel what it's like to lose everything. You told a stranger we were getting divorced." "I thought we were," she cried. "Emotionally, we were done. You stopped noticing me. You barely looked at me anymore." "I looked at you every damn day, Jenna. I noticed everything. Even the way you started hiding your phone. The way you started smiling at texts you never shared. I noticed so much it made me sick." "I was lonely," she choked out. "And I was loyal," I said. "Even when I felt the distance. Even when I wondered if you were pulling away. I stayed. You went a-looking." Tears ran down her face now. Real ones. But I couldn't tell if they were for me or for the fantasy I had just destroyed. "I didn't sleep with anyone," she said, desperate. "I wasn't going to, I swear. I just wanted to talk." "You weren't just talking," I snapped. "You built a world where I didn't exist, where we were done, and you loved it. You showed up here hoping to be someone else for an hour, but now you have to be yourself again." She sobbed quietly. "I don't want to lose you." "You wanted to feel something again? Well, now you get to feel what it's like to lose everything." "You lost me the second you swiped right," I said. I stood up. "Don't call me. Don't try to explain this to your friends or twist it into something else. I won't play along." She looked up at me, broken. "Please, just wait." "Can we talk?" I shook my head slowly. I waited. I watched. And now I'm done. Then I walked out, left her with her coffee, her lies, and the truth she could no longer run from. And just like that, the woman I loved didn't come home. Jenna didn't come home the night of the confrontation. Jenna didn't come home the night of the confrontation. I waited, half expecting her to walk through the door with excuses, with tears, with whatever spin she thought might work. But she didn't. When I finally went to bed, alone in the room we used to share, I slept better than I had in weeks. The next morning I was sipping coffee in the kitchen when I heard her key turn in the lock. She stepped inside, quiet and cautious, like she wasn't sure she still belonged here. I didn't look up from my cup. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice small. "Go ahead," I said, still staring at the table. She hovered in the doorway, clutching her purse like it was a shield. "I made a mistake, a horrible one. I got lost, and I hurt you, but I don't want to throw everything away." I finally looked at her. "You already did. The moment you told a stranger we were divorcing. The moment you made space in your life for someone else." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't love him. I don't even know him. It was stupid. Just something to escape with." "But you were willing to throw this away for that escape. That's the part that matters." She stepped forward. "Can't we fix this?" "No." I stood up. You'll pack your things today. Her face dropped. You're kicking me out? I'm asking you to leave the home you violated, I said, calm but firm. This house still has some truth left in it. You're not part of that anymore. She didn't argue. Maybe because she knew she couldn't, or maybe she was just too ashamed. She went upstairs in silence, spent the next few hours packing. I didn't help. I didn't watch. I just sat on the porch, letting the cold air numb whatever pain was still left. When she came down with her bags, she paused by the door. I don't expect forgiveness, she whispered, but I hope someday you'll remember more than just the end. I nodded once. I'll remember everything. That's the problem. She left without another word. I stayed. The silence in the house felt different now. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't empty. It was clean, honest. She walked away with her lies. I walked away with my dignity. In the days that followed, she texted a few times. Apologies, memories, questions I didn't answer. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. One night she called and left a voicemail. I know I ruined the best thing I ever had, but I want you to know, I loved you, I really did. Maybe that was true, but love doesn't survive in lies. I changed the locks a week later. I boxed up the few things she left behind and dropped them off with a friend. I didn't need reminders. And I sure as hell didn't want ghosts. What I wanted was peace. And for the first time in a long time, I was starting to feel it. It's been almost a year. Sometimes I still wake up reaching for someone who isn't there, not because I miss her, but because, for so long, that space beside me was filled with a lie I tried to call love. The quiet hit's different now. It doesn't ache. It just is. Jenna moved out 2 weeks after I told her to leave. She packed her life into boxes, took her clothes, her framed photos, even the small fake plant she kept by the window. I didn't stop her. I didn't ask questions. The day she left, she didn't say goodbye. And honestly, I didn't need her to. At first, the silence in the house was unbearable. Every room held a memory, some sweet but most now bitter. I couldn't sit on the couch without thinking about the night I caught her flirting with a man who never existed. I couldn't open the fridge without seeing the wine she used to drink after texting him. For a while, I thought about selling the house, burning it all down metaphorically. But then I realized I had nothing to be ashamed of. I had stayed loyal. I had loved her. She's the one who left, not me. So I stayed. I repainted the walls, got rid of the mattress we shared, bought a new table, one without her coffee stains or the weight of her last apology. Little by little, I reclaimed the space, not just physically, but emotionally. I started therapy 3 months after the divorce. Not because I was falling apart, but because I didn't want to carry this weight into the next chapter of my life. I needed to know why I stayed blind for so long, why I ignored the red flags, why I kept calling something love when it felt more like loneliness in disguise. And therapy helped. It helped me understand that betrayal doesn't always come with loud crashes. Sometimes it's silent, subtle, 1,000 little choices someone makes when they stop choosing you. Jenna didn't ruin me in one moment. She eroded me slowly, with every glance at her phone, every half-truth, every giggle that wasn't meant for me. But healing? That's been mine to own. I picked up old hobbies, started running again, took solo trips on weekends, just to remind myself that I still existed outside of being someone's husband. I reconnected with friends I'd unintentionally distanced myself from during the marriage, and for the first time in years, I learned how to sit with myself and not feel lonely doing it. As for Jenna, I heard she tried dating again. Nothing serious stuck. A friend told me she once admitted that she messed up something good chasing something empty. Maybe that's true. Maybe she really did love me once. But love without honesty is a ticking time bomb, and hers detonated long before I caught her at that cafe. If love has to be hidden, it was never love at all. I don't hate her. I don't wish her harm. I don't even think about her most days. But I'll never forget what it felt like to look across the table at the woman I vowed forever to, and realize I never really knew her at all. So here's the moral of the story. Trust is a gift, not a guarantee. And love only works when it's mutual, when both people show up every day, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it would be easier to swipe away and start over. If you're in a relationship where something feels off, don't gaslight yourself into silence. Listen to your gut. Ask hard questions. And if the answers come back twisted in lies, walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you finally chose yourself. If you suspected your partner was cheating, would you catfish them to find out the truth? Or is that crossing the line? Would you have had the strength to sit across from them and leave? I did. Would you? I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done.